Well, Dr. Fauci has reemerged to justify mask wearing once again to the public. But what's truly amazing is that even the hosts over at CNN, who have been pushing forward the mask agenda for years, have done essentially an about-face. And now they are open to questioning the science, or lack thereof, behind these masks. Here's, for instance, an exchange that took place just 2 days ago between a host at CNN and Dr. Anthony Fauci.
I'm going to refer to one of them. You've heard about it before. I heard about it from a number of radio callers. Brett Stevens in The Times talked about Cochrane. Put that on the screen. The most rigorous and comprehensive analysis of scientific studies conducted on the efficacy of masks for reducing the spread of respiratory illness, including COVID-19, was published last month. Its conclusions, said Tom Jefferson, the Oxford epidemiologist who is the lead author, were unambiguous. There is just no evidence that masks, make any difference. He told the journalist Mayan Damasi, full stop. But wait, hold on. What about the N95 masks as opposed to the lower quality surgical or cloth masks? Makes no difference. None of it, he said. Well, what about the studies that initially persuaded policymakers to impose mask mandates? They were convinced by non-randomized studies, flawed observational studies. How do we get beyond that finding of that particular review?
Yeah, but there are other studies, Michael, that show at an individual level for individual. When you're talking about the effect on the epidemic or the pandemic as a whole, the data are less strong. But when you talk about as an individual basis of someone protecting themselves or protecting themselves from spreading it to others, there's no doubt that there are many studies that show that there is an advantage. When you took at the broad population level, like the Cochrane study, the data are less firm with regard to the effect on the overall pandemic. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about an individual's effect on their own safety. That's a bit different than the broad population level.
That was possibly the most amazing answer I've ever heard from a government official, past or present. Basically, to counter the argument that the masks don't work at a population level, Dr. Fauci says that they still work at an individual level, meaning that when an individual person wears a mask, that person is somehow better protected. But when you scale it up and everyone wears a mask, it has no effect on the population. It's probably better not to think about that too much.